Informed, outspoken, wild, fearless. This is the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast.
What is up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. We are back. I am joined by Jordan, Phil, and Seth. Today's episode, we are going to finish up our running back rankings. We'll have a mock draft later this week. You will not want to miss. We are doing our top 10. We will kind of briefly go over our top 15. We'll have our whole top 30 at the end of the show. Here we go. Right here, Phil. Read these off here. We got 14 through 10, and we'll do a little bit of discussion. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Sleepers. So, Phil, I think you can still read. It's been a little bit, but go 14 through 10 right there.
So we're going 14 through 10 here on our running backs list. Number 14, we have James Cook. 13, Devon Achane. Number 12, Calvin Kamara. Number 11, Isaiah Pacheco. And number 10, Rachaad White.
All right. We did have someone complain
Did
about
I pronounce it right? Did I pronounce it right?
You said Calvin Kamara.
I meant Alvin Kamara. You know what? I was getting worried about saying Rachaad White correctly, but Seth, did I say it correctly?
Yeah, you said Rachaad White. It's better than Trent saying Rashid. You know what actually helps about how we set up this new like master sheet for our rankings, and it's really helpful. But now it's going to force Trent to actually spell things correctly because it'll mess up the algo if he doesn't. So
Seth, here's the deal. Don't come at me for spelling names wrong on this sheet. You do abbreviations. You do first names only. Like, it is not me who spells wrong. I copy and paste everything on this
the
sheet.
last name.
I have
There's
text messages to prove it.
Seth will have there's 3 Smiths being ranked, and Seth just has Smith, and it's like, well, what Smith is being ranked, Seth?
Yeah. Whichever one you want. Yeah. So anyways,
there's 5 mores at wide receiver, and he's like more, and it's like, well, I don't know which one.
Yeah, so copy and paste. We got a nice little sheet here. We will be sharing these rankings with you guys. You want to sign up for that at www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com or follow us on X at tffdudes. Just some stuff I'm looking at here at these rankings, though. Who are we too high on this? Like Rachaad White. I said the name right.
You said the name right.
I said it right.
Yeah, so I guess this one's pretty far out though, because Trent has him at 16, I have him at 9, and Jordan has him at 12. So we actually are few.
Why do you hate him so much, Trent? Why do you hate him?
I just what's his ADP? I guess I need to look at. Do we think he's really going to be as good as what he was last year? He was really good last year.
He was the top 3, right? Last year. I guess I have it right here.
He for sure was top 5. I'll tell you that. But they've brought in, Uncle Buck, Bucky Irving, and all that stuff. We've talked about too. We think Godwin's going to be a little bit better. It sounds like he played through injury.
Really, we're dropping about 4 spots from where he finished last year, which is a good question there, Trent. And believe it or not, PFF actually has him at 11, just in terms of his running back ranking. So we're actually not too far off where we have everyone else, and he's only about 4 spots down from where he ended last year, from what I'm seeing. So I think he can not have it nearly as good a season, but still finish right at that top 10.
I just don't see him repeating. I know we did these rankings a little bit. We're going to update him again for August, and we'll have that out. So do you think you move him down more, or do you think we just have him in the sweet spot, Jordan?
So what made Rachaad White so good last year is that he was the guy, right? He had one of these running back roles where he pretty much played 80% of the snaps. How much you think Bucky eats into that? I think that's the biggest thing. If Bucky doesn't eat into it and he's still getting 70% snaps, then I think, he'll come down from 6, but I think 10, 11, 12 is kind of the right spot. If it's more 50-50 split, well, then, that changes things. But, he was so good for them last year. They were good. Their offense was good. I know that it's a different coordinator, but, I tend to think he'll still be the guy. I tend to think we still get that 65-70% snaps. Maybe it's not the 80% snaps it was last year, but that 70% is still pretty solid. And what makes him so good, Trent, is that he's really good catching the ball. He's a really good receiving back.
Yeah. Well, what also it's going to be is, can he stay healthy for a whole year too? That's a big deal. But Jordan, just asking you right here, who would you rather have in fantasy football? Would you rather have Rachaad White or would you rather have Isaiah Pacheco? Because you have Pacheco.
Rachaad White.
You would take Rachaad White.
It's the receiving upside.
Yeah. What about Nick Chubb?
That's tough. I mean, what kind of Nick Chubb we getting? What kind of role with Nick
Yeah.
Chubb are we getting? Because you have guys who did well there last year. That's the biggest thing with Chubb is he's a guy who's always kind of been like, yeah, he was a 60% guy, snap share, but he always got a lot of carries, right? Like he still got when he was in there, he was carrying the ball. I mean, Ford was no slouch for them last year. So
No.
you would think that he has some equity built up there.
As a pod, we have Isaiah Pacheco at 11. I kind of think that's his ceiling. Do you think he finishes higher than 11? Like, I feel like that would be like, you'd be really happy if Isaiah Pacheco finished at 11. What did he finish at?
I see his 2023 finish was 15, it looks like.
I think his ceiling would be where we have him. I don't know if I see him finishing much higher than that. But just going through those again, we had James Cook at 14, Devin Achane, Alvin Kamara, Isaiah Pacheco, Rachaad White. Alvin Kamara, are the wheels falling off here? Is this the year? They got the guy on the Saints. He's not on our rankings. The guy they drafted last year out of TCU.
Condre Miller.
Is Condre Miller? Is this the year that Condre Miller, like about week 6, starts coming through, doing some good things for the Saints? Or you think we still got Alvin Kamara? Like, how old is Alvin Kamara? Highest guy on Kamara. You say no, Jordan?
As old as you think. No, I like Kamara. I think I have him around 10. He's only 28. Trent.
He's 20. He's 28.
It's a little older for running backs, but
he's good.
I like Kamara here. I think that Saints offense will be a little bit better this year. But yeah, I mean, and the good thing about Kamara is, there's receiving work guaranteed with him.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think Derek Carr's good for him too.
Yeah.
So here's something that we maybe talked about a little bit last offseason. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm crazy. He was dealing with a lot of off-field issues last season. Do we think he's a little bit more focused, a little bit better, not having to deal with all the Pro Bowl antics that he was dealing with last week? Remember last year, we didn't know, like, hey, is this guy going to miss time? Is he not going to miss time? He had that instant where he beat up that guy. Like, maybe he's just a little bit more mentally prepared, not dealing with court cases, stuff like that, talking to the commissioner. Maybe he just focuses more on football and he can let loose a little bit. Or am I just, maybe overthinking that a little bit too much? I'm pretty low on Kamara. I'm the lowest on the pod by far. I have Kamara on my rankings, I have him at 19. So
yeah, you have him real low.
Yeah, me and Jordan have him at 10.
So
I think the guy, Trent, that I want to talk about with you is in this group is Devin Achane, because you have him at 9. I have him at 18. Seth has him at 13. I'm low on him, like pretty low compared to you guys, especially you, Trent. And I guess my concern there is Raheem Mostert, and how much they run the ball and his health. Those are kind of my 3 concerns right there. Like, I know they're going to run the ball, but they're also going to throw the ball too.
Yeah. Like, I probably watched a lot of Achane last year because I had him on fantasy teams, and you just see what he does with the little opportunity he has. So he's kind of one of those guys that I want to do an episode later this offseason, about riskiest players to draft. I think Achane's on the top of that list, where it's like boom or bust, where he can be amazing. If he gets that opportunity, I don't know what to do with Mostert. This was a guy that was hard for me to rank. If he stays healthy, I think we could move him way up on this list. But
Trent, if you tell me he gets 12 carries a game, plays 60% snaps, and plays all the games, I'm gonna have him in my top 10. But like, none of those things are guaranteed. He only got double-digit carries 5 of his games last year. It's week week 2, week 4, week 6, week 10, and week 11. Did he missed a bunch of games then? Yeah,
He got
missed.
hurt. He got injured.
He missed a couple of games.
Sorry, those
He's-
weren't weeks. That was his amount of games. So it was actually like week 3, week 5, week 13, week 17, week 18. He only had 100 yards, 4 games. He had 8 touchdowns, but he had 6 of those came in 3 games. So like,
Jordan, I would say
know.
he's pretty close to double digits in almost every game that he's playing, though.
Yeah, if he's on the field, it's lightning in a bottle, man. Like,
No,
that-
I know he was like that in college too at Texas A&M. But my question is though, is that Mostert's going to get carries, right?
Yeah. They drafted a guy too.
His touchdown upside is essentially big plays. You have to bank on big plays. Like, I'd be curious what his average like yards per touchdown is. I don't know if I can see that, but like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like the average depth of his touchdowns.
Yeah, rush. You mean?
Yeah, like how? I mean, I would assume they're all big touchdown runs. Like he's not getting the 1 yarders, the 2 yarders. Those are
Mostert. Yeah, Mostert got those, but what do we think Mostert does this year? You know what I'm saying? Do you think he bounces back and finishes as, high up in those running back ranks, or do you think Achane kind of pulls the reins away from him? It could be a little bit more of one of those where like Achane's the every down back and Mostert's kind of the short yardage back, but Mostert's in his 30s.
They drafted Jalen Wright in the 4th round. So like, I mean, Jeff Wilson still going to be there? Salvin Ahmed, like those are guys that I feel like the coach really likes. It's just a lot, Trent. It's a lot of guys and a lot of like downside, I think, with him. But the upside is tremendous, like you say. It's hard. You
have him at, where do you have him? You just said it. I'm just looking.
What's funny is I'm just looking at like the 2024 outlook in one of the apps. Like he missed 5 games and most of a 6 due to injury last season, and the Dolphins might prefer to keep him around 12 carries per game rather than utilizing him as a workhorse. So I mean that's still kind of where you're.
If he gets 12 carries a game, then I'm more on board. I'm skeptical about 12 carries a game.
He had 7.8 yards per carry on 103 carries last season.
He's like, I think that the thing is everyone that like had Achane on their team is probably swayed on like how to rank him and stuff like that. He's a lot of fun to watch, big play guy, and they put him more in the receiving game this year because he even was hurt most of training camp, I think, last year too. Like he kind of got a late start, then he kind of missed some time in the middle. So like, I don't know. It's tough. Seth
Mostert is 32, but I'll let Seth go. Seth, what do you think?
No, but just talking about Mostert, like he was 31 last year. Everybody kind of wrote him off, and he ended up finishing as what? What he finished with?
Here's my last thought on Achane, Trent. I think this is where, like, I was the biggest Achane guy last year. I had so much Achane in best ball, tons of. I was drafting him in the late rounds, like all kinds of Achane. The problem is, I think his ADP is going to be too high, and it's just going to get away from me. And it's not. It's just he's going to be drafted too high for the value's gone there. It's a little bit of Puka, the running back version of Puka.
Yeah, his ADP 62. So Seth, who would you rather have here? Would you rather have James Cook or Devin Achane?
Well, I think I have Achane higher on my list, so I think I would list Achane. I think those guys' ADP might be pretty similar, so I think I'd be worth taking the risk.
Yeah, Achane is 62. James Cook is 58, going ahead of him right now in ADP.
Yeah, so I would take the risk, I think, there.
Yeah, and neither one's getting goal line carries, right? But I think Achane.
You don't think James Cook gets goal line carries this year?
He's going to get goal line carries, but I still think that's going to be the Josh Allen. Like, I think Josh Allen's going to get those carries.
Trent, who's gonna? I mean, Ray Davis, I guess, could rookie, but Ty Johnson, like, I'm not worried about Ty Johnson with James Cook.
Yeah, but what Bills running back you go in there and you like feel confident about red zone carries? Like I feel like Josh Allen kind of is the guy that gets those carries. Like what did James Cook have rushing TDs last year? Was he at like 7 or 6? Like
Yeah,
they
but
had a different guy.
He was dealing with Latavius Murray, who was a notorious like touchdown goal line guy. He was dealing with so that Damian Harris was there before. So yeah, Damian Harris, Lot Murray. I'm trying to pull up from like.
He only had 2 rushing TDs last year.
James Cook only had 2,
from what I'm saying. Yeah. In 2023. But do you remember last year there was a game and I think like 3 Bills running backs scored and he wasn't one of them. Like it was like, or maybe he was one of them, but it was like a crazy game when there was just like there were 3 rushing touchdowns and he wasn't listed as any of them.
Yeah. No,
which
that doesn't
think will be the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, there got to be some really good like touchdown regression though with James Cook. I mean, he had 237 carries and 2 touchdowns. That doesn't seem right to me.
You think regression?
Well, regression to the mean is what I mean.
Okay.
In a positive, it's the same.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Positive regression to the mean. Like I mean,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like he's got to go back up to like 5, 6 at least, right? Like with that amount of carries, like the volume trend is just so much different between the two of them. With James
I appreciate you explaining that to Phil like he's 12. That really helps, Jordan. So thank you. That was a really good job. You're getting better. The more you're doing this pod,
he was looking at you, Trent, which is
no.
The funny, like Trent, I guess what I'll say is I struggle with drafting guys like Achane so high because like it's hard to deal with that risk that high, right? Now, at the back end of drafts, like I'm all over guys like that, the high upside guys. It's just harder to draft that in a top 4, like in your 4th round, 3rd round, like 2nd round. Like you're giving up a lot if things go badly with a guy like that. If the volume's not there, if the injury's not there, or the injury concerns happen. But also he could win in your league, I guess, too. Like there's just a lot of unknown. I just think he's going to end up being drafted too early for me to get much of him. But yeah, I mean, I like him as a player, 100% for sure.
Yeah. All right, Phil, I think we should bounce on to our next one.
Let's do it.
Our next rankings. But today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Sleeper. So here's a nice quick ad for Sleeper.
Dudes, we get it. Fantasy football is tough. From injuries, lineup decisions, stage fright at the draft. But what shouldn't be tough is the platform you play fantasy football on. Make the best and easiest fantasy football decision today. Text your commissioner right now and demand he takes your league over to Sleeper. From trading rookie draft picks, multi-team trades, a chat, and much more, Sleeper is the ultimate place to play fantasy football. And now Sleeper's offering picks with dynamic payouts, where you can win 100 times your money. They have multiple ways to play and easy research tools right there in the app, so you can make a good decision. Cheer together and watch your contest unfold in real time. All you gotta do is pick a player and choose an over-under. It's that easy, guys. The next easiest part is enter promo code DUDES100 and they will match you up to $100, guys. Come on, what are you waiting for? Take your league to the next level and have some more fun and win some cash along the way. Head over to Sleeper, guys. You won't regret it. I promise.
All right. So, Phil, we got 9 through 5 running back rankings. Here we go. You want to read those off for us?
Yes, sir. Josh Jacobs at number 9, Travis Etienne at number 8, Jahmyr Gibbs at number 7, Saquon Barkley at number 6, and Kyron Williams at number 5. If we're looking at just kind of diving into it here, Seth, what are you got any thoughts here just in terms of kind of like how you see these drop here?
I want to say, well, at least one that I'm like excited about is the Saquon one. I think that's like maybe one that I think we all have him in a similar position. Jordan's 1 off. Trent is 3 below me. So we're all pretty consensus there. But I do like he's going to like actually be on a good team this year. So that actually makes me feel good about him. Like the only reason why he had like value on the Giants was like, that was the only way they could do anything. And even in those games where teams stopped them, and Saquon had 18 yards, and had like 10 carries, it was just demoralizing to have that good of a player just be on a team that couldn't do anything. So he's going to be on the Eagles, and the Eagles can run the ball, and they're also going to score touchdowns, and that's going to put him in a position to score a lot of points. So I think we're going to see some vintage Saquon Barkley this year.
So he had 6 touchdowns six rushing touchdowns. He also had a couple of receiving touchdowns. Jordan, you think that goes up this year? I think he gets some goal line carries, probably more goal line carries, right?
I think so. I think it's a good offense, like Seth was saying, for him. Yeah, I mean, I like Barkley this year. I think there's a lot of upside with him this year. Maybe the floor is not as high. Honestly, that might be what it is. The floor may not be as high with him, but I do think the ceiling is a lot higher.
Yeah.
Just because the upside, like the touchdown equity on the Eagles is so much higher than what it was on the Giants. They're going to move the ball. They're going to score touchdowns. They're going to score points. Like the Giants, you literally didn't know if they're going to score a touchdown in a game. Like there was a question if they're going to score a touchdown in every game. And so with the touchdown equity with the Eagles is so much higher. So the floor, like the carries, the volume might be lower. Like they may not get the 20 carry games, but the 15 carry games with some receiving upside, touchdown equity, I think is, and there's not really much behind him, is there?
Kenneth Gainwell's still there.
Gosh, the Kenneth Gainwell thing has been so annoying over the years.
And that's what hurts you receiving yards wise, right? Because Kenneth Gainwell, he has some
30 receptions. He had 30 receptions, no TDs though, Trent. Excuse me. He did have it. He did have a TD. No, he did not have a receiving TD.
Yeah. No, Gainwell, he kind of has some chemistry with Hurts, so that helps a little bit in the receiving game, right? Like no one's saying that Gainwell's better than Barkley, but he's just kind of he's really good at just being annoying to whatever fantasy running back you have. Is kind of what Kenneth Gainwell is. I'm excited to see Saquon Barkley not be the focal point completely of an offense. I think that'll be good for him. There's to be other stuff. Have you guys been watching the off-season Hard Knocks with all the Barkley stuff, or no? Have you been watching that, Jordan?
I haven't. No,
I haven't watched it either. But him telling his agent he knows where he wants to go, all that stuff. It's kind of a different perspective for Hard Knocks doing the off-season moves. One I have here. We did this a while ago, these rankings, and we're gonna do them again. But Josh Jacobs, like, what do we think? Like, do we think he's the Josh Jacobs of old? Like, what do we really think that the Packers are going to just let him have the workload? I don't think that LaFleur's ever had a running back get more than 60% of the carries. I think he just kind of is a committee guy. Are we too high on Josh Jacobs at number 9 here on our list? And by saying that, we have him at number 9. Do you see yourself walking away from any drafts with Josh Jacobs? Like, I don't think I want to draft him on any teams. I think this is the Jordan Love show. Like, I think Jacobs will have some good games, but it is his ceiling RB9. Do we think he has another one of those crazy seasons like he had with the Raiders? Like when he was in Vegas, he was kind of like they were giving him majority of the snaps. I don't know if LaFleur does that. They drafted the kid out of USC. They have AJ Dillon there, who I don't think is really a threat, but I just don't see LaFleur.
AJ Dillon was so bad last year, Trent.
Yeah,
he's so bad.
He was I agree with that, but I don't think LaFleur is going to just be like, hey, Josh Jacobs, you're getting 85% of the snaps. I think he's going to use the USC kid. I think he might use AJ Dillon a little bit. And we have Josh Jacobs at 9. Is anyone actually excited about Josh Jacobs?
No.
Packers?
That's why I have him at,
I'm not
12.
You have him at 12.
And I'm not going to have much of him. His floor, though, is probably solid, though. I don't know. It's one of those things where I never really have Josh Jacobs on my teams. But, like, it's hard to argue with his production the last couple of years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Also. And we're in an offense, Trent, who we think is going to be pretty good. So we think there's going to be some touchdown equity there. He might fall in the box about 6-7 times next year. And he's getting 15, 16, 17 carries a game with not much behind him. Like, and if we think the Packers are good, Trent,
That's what I'm saying.
they might grind games out, and he is really good at that. That's what he does best. If you're up a touchdown, 2 touchdowns in the 10 points in the fourth quarter, Josh Jacobs is going to keep grinding those first downs for you.
He didn't play 4 games last year. He didn't have obviously a strong ending, but I think that's a solid point, Jordan. Like, I think that he's going to be on a lot better team where they're going to be grinding him out.
Well, and the Packers, and that is one knock, Trent, to last year, like compared to this year with Jordan Love in the passing game. I think we all love the passing game, but they are going to be, if they take that next step as an offense, like the double-edged sword, right? They might be better players and their offense might be better, but from a fantasy standpoint, it might actually be a little bit worse because they might be up in games, not throwing the ball as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
we know, Trent, that LaFleur is not afraid to just run the ball. He will run the ball at times.
Another guy, I think I feel like we're too low on Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, we have him as number 7 on our list right now. I think with how good the Lions' offensive line is, with how much Gamble likes running the ball, I think Jahmyr Gibbs could finish. We got him at 7. I think he could finish. I think he could finish possibly top 3, top 4. The Lions are good and they have the best offensive line in football. That offensive line is nasty in Detroit. Gibbs is really good. He's only getting better. The only thing we have to worry about, and what's keeping me back on my list, I am at 5, is Gamble likes having a running back that just takes goal line carries. 2 years ago, it was Jamal Williams. Last year was David Montgomery. Is he still going to use David Montgomery as just that goal line back, keep him fresh? Like, can you draft both Lions running backs again this year and
I don't
be happy
think so.
about it? You don't think so, Seth?
I don't think Montgomery's going to have that value. I think Gibbs is going to take that next step. I do think they want Gibbs to have the ball the majority of the time, but Montgomery is going to play, but he's not going to have that season like he did last year. I don't think so.
You don't think I don't know what Underdog, sponsor of the pod, has Montgomery on rushing touchdowns. I'll look it up right now, but I think that Montgomery, I still think he's going to be one of those guys that's, falling into the end zone, finishing off drives. Or is everybody just way too high on Lions this year? Like, is it possible that they just are a letdown? Because the offensive line's what I like about Detroit. And I like Gibbs as well. But Gibbs, I'm just a little worried about Montgomery, and I think that he's going to have a role. What is your take on Montgomery or Gibbs, Jordan?
I think the Lions situation is very similar to the Dolphins situation for me. I mean, but Gibbs got more volume last year than Achane did. But man, like, David Montgomery's only 27 years old. It's not like I know that's getting up there for running backs, but in that role where he only gets like 10, 12 carries a game, that's not much wear and tear on his body. I mean, yes, 13 touchdowns. There's probably a little bit of regression to the mean, where maybe
I have his line.
Let's hear
his line.
6.5. That's what I'm gonna guess it is, Trent. 6.5.
So rushing yards is 825.5.
Okay.
And rushing TDs is 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, that's high. It's a high line. I was gonna hope it's around 6.5 because I was gonna say that 13 maybe comes down to 8, and then Jahmyr Gibbs rushing touchdown goes to. I mean, they had 23 rushing touchdowns combined last year. I mean, and that doesn't even count the one game where I think the one scrub, Craig Reynolds, scored like 2 touchdowns or something.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I had David Montgomery in my DraftKings lineup that day. But anyways, I think that was the Thanksgiving game. Was it Thanksgiving game?
Maybe.
No,
that would be.
It was, or was it like I think it was like an island game, like a Sunday night game, Monday night game, or something like that. I feel like that's what it was. But anyways, yeah, I mean, so they probably had 25, 26, 27 rushing touchdowns as a team. they just run the ball a lot, and it's Trent, to your point, like, is there enough to go around with this Lions offense? Like, I don't know. How do we get them all to get there?
What do you think Gibbs rushing TD prop is? So you want to guess that?
11 and
Gibbs.
11 and a half. 11 and a half.
7.5.
See, that's a smash. Like, I think that's a smash.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to heart that for our we need to do a, prop show soon. And while we're talking about that, actually, we got an Underdog promo here, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Fantasy Football Dudes. For cheering for the Underdog has never been this exciting. And if you like simple, fast, and fun, then Underdog Sports is the perfect place for you. All you got to do is choose 2 to 5 of your favorite players' stats. The more you pick, the more you can win. Get 5 picks right and 20 times your money. Pick them, watch them, win them. Underdog is the easiest place to play DFS. I forgot to mention it's best ball season, so break out your swim trunk and join a best ball mania today. Promo code DUDES will match you up to $100. Let's go win some money.
All right. So, yeah, it's still a crowded backfield. We aren't quite
One last
sure.
note, Trent.
Yeah.
One last note on it. The struggle with the Lions running backs is you're not going to get big yardage from them. Like, they had 5 games combined where one of them went over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah. So,
like, there's just not a lot because they throw the ball so much in between in the numbers, but then when they get in the red zone, they will run the ball a lot. But they do throw the ball a lot in the middle of the field.
Yeah. And with that being said, like, I think I've talked myself into it where it's like, maybe we have Gibbs in the right spot at 7 because the touchdown prop is low. His rushing yards is, it's under 1,000. It's like 950 is his rushing yards. So, like, Vegas thinks that Montgomery's still going to be a problem. And maybe Montgomery at his ADP right now, he's at, where is he? I got it right here. He's at 86. So maybe that's another guy there.
Where are we at? I have David Montgomery ranked 22. Trent, you have him at 23. Set them as a 21. So, yeah, I mean, we're right there. I mean, I think it's like we can't just assume, like, we have 2 years of Campbell riding the wave of one guy, like, scoring a bunch of touchdowns. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you're just not going to not use David Montgomery. They're going to use him.
And those number 2 running backs have been like league winning running backs with Jamal Williams and with David Montgomery. Those are 2 guys that, like, if you got those guys in fantasy football, you got them either on your waiver. You probably didn't draft David. You probably drafted David Montgomery. He probably wasn't a waiver ad because with the rookie running back and stuff. But Jamal Williams, that guy was a league winner.
I drafted David Montgomery in like the 12th round last year, Trent, and hated it. And it ended up being like my best draft pick of the year.
Yeah, he finished as running back 13 last year. And so, like,
I think awesome.
Yeah, 13's probably like his ceiling, right? Unless there's an injury to Gibbs. But I still think that Gamble will use 2 running backs. So, Bill, we'll go to the next one here on those. Do you guys want to talk about Kyron Williams? Are you guys worried about like quorum or what, Jordan?
I was just gonna say, so we got Josh Jacobs. I mean, what are we Etienne? Like, or what are we thinking on Etienne? Like,
I'm getting nervous with him too, with the stuff about Tank Bigsby they're talking about.
Yeah,
do you believe that?
I think that's a little more noise than truth, but because when push comes to shove, Tank Bigsby was bad last year. He had some bad moments. Like, when push comes to shove, Etienne's gonna be in the games. I think it's also like, I think. How good do you think the Jaguars are going to be this year, Trent? I think that's what it comes down to.
Well, and let's just not even talk about how good the Jaguars are going to be. Like, who is Trevor Lawrence's, like,
No.
closest friend on that team is probably Etienne. So that's his dump down. Like, they played forever together.
Yeah, but that goes back to my point is, do you think the Jaguars are going to be good or not?
Even
if they're going to be winning games comfortably in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. I don't know about comfortably in the fourth quarter, but if they're playing catch up, I think Etienne's a great
I agree.
running back. Yeah.
You're missing my point here. My point is that if you think the Jaguars are going to be good and are winning games, then I don't like Etienne as much because I think Bigsby is going to fill that role of in the fourth quarter. They're going to grind some games out with them. I think those are the games where they're going to try to reduce the workload on Etienne. Those are the games where you're going to see his volume decrease. In close games, in games where they're not bringing Bigsby in. Like Etienne's the guy. Yes, Bigsby might get some work on some third downs, and 3rd and 2s while the game. But I think where you see where they're going to try to reduce those workloads on Etienne is in those games where they're leading the fourth quarter, trying to grind some games out. That's where they're going to try to take some the load off Etienne. I like Etienne a lot this year.
Well, Etienne finished.
I feel like I was so super high on Etienne like a couple weeks ago, and you were like, you felt the exact opposite. Like you felt like at that time,
you convinced him, Phil. You convinced him.
Apparently so. I felt like at the time you were feeling like Bigsby was going to take up a lot of carries.
Well, Etienne. Yeah, no, you were right, Phil. Etienne finished last season as running back 4. PFF has him ranked as running back 9. And we have him at running back 8. So we're in that same ballpark. But that would be a drop from what he was last year if he goes from, But like what you said, do you think they're winning games? Do you think they're losing games? Last year, they weren't doing quite like what we thought. And, he got a lot of those dump off stuff like that. And Bigsby wasn't that good. Do we want to touch on Kyren Williams? Like he's...
And just for what it's worth, Jordy, like what changed your mind on the Bigsby thing? Because did you think it was just like locker room?
I think when we talked about it the first time, I think literally that news had just like came out like that day or very recent. And just the more I've thought about it, the more I remember how bad Tank Bigsby was last year, and like just like not scoring in crucial situations. Losing yards, crucial situations, fumbling in crucial situations. And to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about how good the Jaguars team will look like. I think we'll have a good off. Like, I think we'll be solid, but I don't know if we're going to be a team that's like dominating teams and able to run the ball. Like, I just know if it's a close game, we got to move the ball. Etienne's going to be in the game.
For sure. Does it bother you that I was right at all?
No, I think that's what I said in that moment.
Okay.
Probably bothers a lot of people when you're right, honestly. But hey, luckily it's rare. Okay. And what's not rare though, guys, is that feeling you get after drafts. When you just look at your team, you're like, man, that team just looks so good. And, you just stare at your team for hours and just think of what if. And if you want to just, really be happy about looking at your team, you want to look at it like this. Here is, me eyeing my fantasy team. Here's a little meme we put here on X. So give us a sub, guys. Remember, don't be rude. Share the dude's picture of Bill Belichick, with his, post-football career that's been going on here. But, I think we could all agree that that's kind of how you feel after fantasy football drafts and how you look at your fantasy football draft. So anyways, guys, remember to sub, don't be rude, share the dudes, really helps us out. What we got next year, we got our top 4 running backs. We'll read those off. And I think there's going to be some discrepancies here. I already think Jordan's going to be upset about this, but what is new, honestly? So Phil, you want to read these off?
What is new? What is love? All right. Number 4, we have Jonathan Taylor. Number 3, we have Breece Hall. Number 2, we have Christian McCaffrey. And number 1, we have Bijan Robinson. I think that's the part that Trent probably. Yeah, there we go.
The formula has to be messed up here. How is...
No, it's not.
Can someone explain to me?
It's not.
No. Hold on. Can someone explain to me how 2 guys have Christian McCaffrey ranked 1? No.
It's because Trent has McCaffrey at 4. That's why.
I know, and that's dumb. It's dumb. Because we have 2 guys who have him at 1. Out of 2 of the 3 have him at 1. Our consensus is CMC at 1. Okay.
It probably should be.
No, it probably shouldn't be. Like if two of the 3 guys have him at 1, if Trent just is a normal person and has him at 2, then it'd be right. But 4 is ridiculous, Trent. You have him at 4. Is ridiculous.
We probably should have, bonus points for keeping guys at 1. You're right. That probably should get you an extra point in the formula. But, I have him at 4. You want to hear I got Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey. That's my 4 right there. Sorry.
Jonathan Taylor over CMC is absurd. Like, it makes no sense.
Trent's basically saying the Colts are going to be just as good as the 49ers.
I'm way high on the Colts this year. I'm really high on the Colts. Call
It's
me
not-
crazy.
Here's my point, and I'll say, how can you be so high on Anthony Richardson and so high on Jonathan Taylor at the same time? It doesn't make sense because they both rely on the same exact thing: rushing touchdowns.
You think that they get down the 1 yard line, they just do rushing touchdowns with Anthony Richardson? No, they're going to give those short yardage rushing touchdowns to the running back that they just paid a bunch of money last year. Should be healthy. He was hurt all last season. I think Jonathan Taylor has a huge bounce back, and I love his ADP. I think he's be very good. I like Jonathan Taylor a lot, and I know a lot of people don't.
You sat on this podcast like a week ago and talked about how Anthony Richardson is going to get all the touchdown carries.
I think he is going to have a lot of rushing touchdowns, but I think Jonathan Taylor is going to get those short yardage ones. I'm probably way too high on all the Colts. All the Colts all together.
Richardson is running in 10-yard touchdowns. 3 of them.
Yeah,
I think
he could. I think he could be running in long touchdowns. Yes.
So his next Michael Vick.
The Colts offensive line is really good. Some of those have got to be good. CMC, I get it. It seems crazy. It seems crazy, but I'm not afraid. I'm not high on Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to have him in a league because he's going to be my keeper because I'm keeping him 11 overall. That'd be crazy not to. But I'm really high on Bijan. Bijan's by far. That's my guy that I think is to be really good. Probably should have CMC above Jonathan Taylor.
Hold on. No, Trent. I'm going to hold you to your word. At 11 overall, you might be able to draft like a Bijan.
No, I won't. Guaranteed
Or
will
a
not.
Brees.
Maybe Brees, but I might be able to get him in the second round. I know Bijan's getting kept, though, so I know he will not be there at 11.
Yeah, there's no way Bijan.
You might be able to draft Brees at 11. And you know what?
If I get Brees at 11, I might be able to get him at, second round on the turn.
All right. I'm just saying, you might need to stay true to your words and not
I know I'm not getting CMC at 11. I'm not getting CMC at 11 for sure.
Yeah, but if you could have Brees Hall over CMC at 11, you think Brees Hall is going to have a better year than CMC?
I'm very high on Brees Hall. I actually had dinner with a guy the other night. Seth is my witness. And since this dinner, I might be moving Brees Hall down my rankings, but I'm keeping my rankings with what I had. Sure. The guy's really into anime, he said.
Okay. Just for the record,
that is a doc. If a running back's into anime, Jamal Williams is the what?
You did not clarify who you had dinner with. Trent did not have dinner with Brees Hall.
I did not have dinner with Brees Hall, but I had dinner with one of his very close friends.
I know.
He used to go boating with him. He used to go to his house, play Super Smash Brothers, all this stuff. So, yeah, he said the guy's really into anime. He's into Pokemon, stuff like that. Not sure if that's what I want on my running back. So I think I might dock him some running back slots after that. Like, I understand we did these rankings a while ago. So next one's my...
You know who you can get at 11? You can get Jonathan Taylor at 11. I guarantee it.
I also might be able to give him my second round.
True. Okay.
That's where, yeah.
I'm just saying, put your money, my point though is that I guess all I'm saying is this. I don't know how it's possible for you to be so high on Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson at the same time, unless you think that the Colts throw the ball way more than I think they do. And you must think that.
I think I do. I do think they are. I would not be surprised if Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson both finish top 5 at their positions. And that's kind of how I have it ranked in fantasy football.
I don't know. Seth, can you talk about this for a couple minutes? Why?
I think you kind of said everything I said.
Guys, it's not that crazy. 2 years ago, Jonathan Taylor had the rushing crown. Like he was the number one running back.
His rankings to fit the algorithm.
Yep. Honestly, we should just be shocked that he was that smart.
No.
I'll give him that.
Am I incorrect though? Was Jonathan Taylor not the best running back in the NFL 2 years ago? He was the number one fantasy.
It was almost 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay. He's still young though.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine, Trent. I just think McCaffrey is just going to get used by the 49ers the same way. The 49ers have the same team.
2 things you guys aren't counting into, okay? And these are real issues that need to be talked about, need to be dealt with, and you need to think about on draft night that you guys aren't thinking about. Age. McCaffrey is getting up there in age. Madden curse.
The Madden curse is broken, Trent. It's not a thing anymore. It's been
Still a
broken.
thing. It's still a thing.
According to who? You're the one
When
person
was the
who
last
thinks
time
it's
they
a thing.
gave it to a 30-year-old running back? That's when.
The
That gets the ball all the time.
The 45-year-old quarterback broke it. Tom Brady broke it.
Quarterbacks don't get hurt anymore. They treat them like flag football. Like the quarterback thing is, come on. Quarterback and running back's totally different.
Trent, go back and look at all the quarterbacks who got hurt last year. It might beg to
They
differ.
treat them like angels. Yeah. All those were like non-contact too. That was the funny part.
Yeah,
Charlie's
but Brady's different though too. Like, right? So, yeah. It is crazy to me that McCaffrey wasn't one. Maybe I screwed this thing up. So, no, I definitely screwed it up. But I am lower on McCaffrey this year.
Trent,
you not concerned that you're more concerned about my ranking than that Breece Hall watches anime, and that shocks me.
No, because I don't care
know it
about
doesn't
that.
shock Seth. The guy loves anime too.
Trent,
Seth is
you
an
do
anime
realize
guy.
that CMC is only 3 years older than Jonathan Taylor, right?
I do realize that.
And so CMC has had 14
I'm going to be so sad. I'm going to be so sad when I have to cheer for CMC getting hurt because of you yahoos
Oh my!
or whatever happens, and he's going to be on my team just because of this conversation.
Well, now he's not going to come on the pod. I hope you're happy with yourself.
Trent, here's the biggest issue
Breece
with
Hall
your
or
take.
CMC?
CMC.
Trent, here's the biggest issue with your take. We're ranking for a half-point PPR.
Mm-hmm.
The receiving upside of Christian McCaffrey is just so much higher. Like, there's just like it's just crazy. Like Jonathan Taylor's most catches in a year, it's 40, and that was his good year he had in 2021. Like Christian McCaffrey's lowest amount, like he has 180, 107, 116. The last 2 years, 67, 52. Like there's just Jonathan Taylor can't match his receiving upside.
Could have touchdown upside though.
You're ranking running backs for standard. I'm going to tell you right now, how you rank the running backs is for standard is for standard points and not any PPR points.
You could be right on that, Jordan. I think that is probably what I did.
Like if we were ranking for just pure standard, I think you have more of an argument.
Yeah.
I just don't think when you account for any points being given for receptions, I just don't think like I don't see it. Like I struggle to see it.
Yeah, now I would if we're going to talk about number. I guess our consensus number one is Bijan. I think that is if we're taking PPR and half PPR into account. Like I do think Bijan could beat McCaffrey this year because they are going to throw him the ball, right? He's going to be touching the ball at least 20 times a game, or as he should be.
Jordan doesn't think that though.
No, okay. I think that Bijan does have the best. If you're not going to rank CMC 1, you should have Bijan 1. I don't think Bijan has the receiving upside CMC has. He hasn't proved
I don't
that.
think so either, but I think he could get more volume.
It is light years ahead of the receiving upside that Jonathan Taylor has. Like it is light years ahead of that. You know, it's
who was Jonathan Taylor's QB in 2021? Matt Ryan?
Wasn't it Carson Wentz?
Maybe Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. So like, I think Anthony Richardson is going to throw more dump downs. Like I think this is.
I think it was Carson Wentz.
Trent, the guy chucks the ball.
You've seen 4 games of the guy. The guy has the best quarterback.
I
coach
watched
ever.
him in college, Trent. Unlike you, I watch college football every Saturday.
Was that his pre with the best college? Was that pre? Best quarterback coach ever or post?
Whatever. You're a best quarterback coach ever. Like, okay,
maybe not best ever, but the guy has good fantasy QBs. You cannot argue with that. I've stated my case.
This will be the make or break year, then for sure.
Make or break, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Trent, I'm surprised you're not rooting for your boy Joe Flacco. He's on the Colts.
That makes my Jonathan Taylor take even better. Like if Anthony Richardson goes down, it might, be like, no,
because Joe Flacco's going to chuck the ball 40.
That's a chucker right there. But Flacco is.
I do think the Bijan though, like Bijan's upside is closer to CMC's than anybody else. especially when it comes. I'm not sure
I feel
about
good
like.
about Bijan.
I think Bijan's the clear number 2. Like, I think he's the clear number 2. I think they'll use him better. For me, and we've talked about this. I don't want to go overboard on this. I just have a hard time not having CMC 1 until I'm shown otherwise. And if I take the L, I'll take the L on that. But I don't see CMC as a guy like Todd Gurley who's just going to have a drop off out of nowhere. Like I just don't see it.
No way.
And you're talking about a guy who has the best plays on a team for a coach, the best running back scheme in probably NFL history. Like, am I out of line saying that? Like, the best coach for a running back. Like, I mean, how they use them is crazy. And so, like, I don't know. And the way they use him in the pass game, I don't know. This touchdown, they're a good offense. Like, they're probably going to be a better offense than the Falcons. Yeah, I don't know. I still am CMC clearly ahead of Bijan, but I think it's CMC gap, Bijan gap, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay. So, guys, that kind of does our rankings there with what we've had, and here they all here. I'll share all of them. We got them all listed right up here for all of our rankings. So there they are right there. There's our top 30, all the way from Jaylen Warren all the way to Bijan Robinson. Some guys we don't have on this list. We don't have any Dallas Cowboys running backs, which might be a problem. We also don't have New York Giants running backs on there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we redo this whole list. Probably a little too low on Jahmyr White. Might need to bump him up a couple spots. Yeah. So there's that whole list right there. You can check that out on YouTube at tffdudes. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our divas of the week, guys. Phil, do you have a diva? Seth, do you have a diva? Jordan, you're going to go off on your AC guy or the electricity not being in.
What are landlord
we here?
Oh, I got one. I was going to talk about this last week, but I wanted something else. I don't know. Maybe this is connected to the Heat. I have no idea, but it's probably not. What am I even saying? I have seen people bring dogs inside into public places more than ever before. I feel like I was literally, a lady brought her dog, literally like a small dog, and was had this thing around her waist and was holding it in there into the gym to sign paperwork, to sign up to the gym. Why do you need to bring your dog into the gym while you're signing up? What are we doing? Just leave it home. I don't understand what's going on here. And I see this more and more, people bringing their dogs into places with them.
I will say, though, I have seen more and more businesses come up with puppy or dog menu items, or have these water bowls in there. They just invite dogs. And I think people who are like this and bringing their animals everywhere with them just think that every place is like this and that you can bring an animal to it. I'm okay with it if the business is okay with it, because it's I went in here, the business is okay with it. What am I going to do? But then again, I also don't know if I want a dog in there 5 feet away from my kid who's eating ice cream. So,
or if some people have allergies,
you got to agree, going to the gym to sign paperwork
weird.
is out of line, right? There's no reason to bring your dog. Yeah, leave the dog in the car.
There's no reason, Jordan, to bring there outside of your home. There's no reason to bring your dog with you, in my humble opinion.
And I'm blanking on where I was in this other situation. I cannot remember where I was, but there was a guy who had dogs with them. And I was in a hotel. I was in a hotel eating breakfast. It's the breakfast kind of connected to the lobby area. The guy is walking his dogs in the Hyatt, and the dogs are barking. Look, if you want to bring your dog into a public place like that, well, people are eating breakfast, your dog better shut up. It is barking and loud. It's loud barking. I'm it's just too much.
Absolutely.
Too.
Why are we bringing dogs on vacations to hotels? Like, it just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
I know Trent's
don't
been
know.
wanting to bring his dog on vacation. The guy is attached to his hip. But I agree with you 100%, Jordan. Like, it's just,
It's getting worse.
It's way worse. No, you should not be allowed to bring a dog into a grocery store. And it makes me mad when grocery store employees don't say anything. Like, I don't want to buy something and then have a dog hair on it. That makes me sick. And I don't like everyone's dog. I don't own a dog. I would like my dog. I like a handful of dogs. I don't like it. Not everyone's dog is a dog that I want to be around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it. Here's mine. I have a couple. I think I'm going to save one for next week. It'll be more appropriate then. Guys who wear carpenter pants but don't own a hammer. That's my diva of the week. And can we just go on carpenter pants? Like, Phil, be honest. What do you think about carpenter pants? Like, is that cool? Like, who wears those?
I don't own a pair. I do own a hammer, several hammers actually. But I actually have to. So in the worst version though, Trent, is the skinny jean carpenter pants. Like they now make those too. They make skinny jean carpenter pants with like the extra, like the loop and also like the extra pocket down closer to the thigh. You don't wear them. You simply do not wear them. Like it's just not. It's not something you wear. They do make like a little bit more business friendly type ones, but still, you don't wear carpenter pants if you're not swinging a hammer.
Jordan, what do you think, man? Carpenter pants.
I have a feeling Seth wore them.
I don't own carpenter, so I don't know.
Trent's waiting for that.
I don't know.
Seth wear them to work.
Seth straight up had carpenter pant jeans on and flip flops today in the office.
Oh
like,
my!
dude,
Not true. I was
like,
not wearing flip flops.
Like, dude, like
whitewashed, or what were they?
Yeah.
No, they're just a normal color pants. I just bought them and I like them. They're fine. They're not skinny either. They're just normal pants.
The guy has them like full of like Uncrustables and like jelly beans too, like just in case he needs to eat something. It's like
there's
dude,
only a
just
knife
put
in
your
my
food at your
pocket. That
desk.
was it.
Do you have an extra pocket on those pants, like towards the thigh?
Several.
Is that true, Seth?
I don't know. I have to get him out. I don't know.
The guy's hanging his stapler in the strap, like just like in case people need help.
You're kidding me.
Hey man, this is cool. Like he's like, hey, anyone need a stapler? Here it is. And like holds it up. It's
and
like,
Trent
okay,
also
man, cool.
can't jam at me for not owning a hammer. I own like 5.
Yeah. Well, don't
He had a
hurt yourself.
3-hole punch in the thing.
3-hole punch and a stapler, and he's like twirling the stapler like it's a gun, like 6-shooter. It's like, okay, cool, man. I don't know.
You needed a laminator. It fell out of his left pocket. That is like, Seth, I'm gonna let it slide because it's you, but I think it's like in general, you probably should not be wearing carpenter pants if you don't own a hammer.
Yeah, I'm sure next time he'll have knee pads just so he's more in character for like, hey guys, I was swinging a hammer this afternoon, so I'm all ready. He's
gonna walk in on those painter stilts.
Yeah, goggles, all kinds of stuff. So, anyways, Phil, do you got
how are you able to breathe the same air as that guy every single day? Like that would
Thankfully,
I don't know.
Trent sits the other side of the room, so he has to drag himself over to me when he wants to come talk. So
you can smell him, but you can't see him.
Yeah, at least I know when he's coming, though.
Phil, what do you got, buddy?
I actually don't have anything. I actually really liked yours, Trent. I will say I was driving in a vehicle with one of my friends, a friend of ours, and
sounds like a lie because you said friend, but we'll let it slide.
Acquaintance, and no joke, truck in front of us, full-size truck, goes ahead and throws the flashers on when we get into traffic. You know how that makes me feel. I just wanted to recap. I want everyone and I want our fans to start looking out for this. Like, if you see this, please tweet at me. People throw their flashers on for way too many reasons and in traffic, which you don't need to put your flashers on in traffic. Zero reason for you to do that. If you come into traffic or traffic just slows, do not turn on your stinking flashers. Everyone hates it. I saw it again.
It's not an emergency.
It's not an emergency. You're not pulling over. You've not blown tire. Your car. Some of these people, their check engine light comes on and they drive for flashes for the next 40 miles. It's like, what do we do?
That's such a stupid thing. Anyways,
I have one.
All right.
Okay.
So I've been really trying to fill up at Costco every chance I get because gas here in California is absolutely bonkers high in price. So every time I get gas, I make sure I try to go to Costco. And the amount of times, like the logic in people's brain in Costco gas lines is just
Seth, the stupidest people in the world get gas at Costco. I get gas there, but the people, how they wait in lines are complete morons, but keep going.
okay. Can I just explain this one? Like this one,
Yes.
really hurt my brain.
And honestly, if it's
So-
one that Trent has already said, I'm going to shut off the podcast. But go ahead, Seth, because we talked about Costco gas lines for like it's been a diva multiple times. But I'm going to let you continue.
This one hurt
Keep
my
going.
brain. This guy, okay, there are open spots. He's still sitting there. I'm like debating about going around this guy. Okay, there's open spots. And he proceeds to pull into the first open one. So once again, I got to go around him. Okay. This guy, I'm getting out, I'm filling up my car. I'm watching him because I'm just annoyed. Like I want him to know I'm looking at him. He takes 5 minutes to fiddle around and get his card out. Okay. And then he proceeds to put 3 gallons in his car. I'm not kidding. It was probably 3 gallons. And he pulled into the front one and made everyone go around him. It was
Oh, he pulled into the first one as opposed. So when you say first one,
Yes.
closest to him, not
the one
pulled to the
closest to
front.
him, not the farthest one. And all 3 were open.
Oh.
All 3. I'm just like, dude. And he put in 3 gallons. Like I actually know the time it takes to like fill up your car. And like I was completely filling up, like I had 10 miles in my car. Like, I
Maybe
was
he only has a
putting
3-gallon
20-something
tank.
gallons
Maybe
in
it's a
there.
hybrid.
Was he driving?
No, it was a
black
decent
Chrysler
sized
200?
SUV. And he put 3 gallons in there. And I was just like, are you kidding me right now?
You know what, Seth? Times are tough right now, and you probably shouldn't be bashing people for just
this
getting
guy
by.
was wearing he was like in his car wearing those like
Carpenter
really
pants.
big hats that like covers your neck. And I'm like, dude, you're not getting sunburnt while you're in your car.
He's like one of those ones that protects your neck from.
It was like
the
he just
sun.
went on a nature guide hike.
Oh,
I'm just like, what are you
no.
doing?
Please tell me he was wearing those leather not open-toed sandals, but those leather sandals that are not open-toed that
He
they
was
allow.
wearing boots with socks. Like he
Oh,
literally looked like a
no.
park ranger in the middle of Fresno.
Man.
Hey, we're not hating on park rangers.
Why are you driving to
That's the
Fresno
pod.
to go to Costco, Seth?
I was
the other.
there already.
Okay, all right. I'm just gonna say it doesn't really make sense if you drive 40 miles to fill your.
His favorite Starbucks is there, so it was worth it.
And just
so.
those people, I'm just like, why do you do that? Or the people who go specifically on the side their gas tank is on, and there's just an open lane, and people don't know, and they love it when you pull across your car. People look at you like you're some kind of wizard,
Yeah.
I kind of like that look, honestly, but I get it a lot. But anyways,
We should probably talk about this. Like, I'm sure some of our listeners will hear this. They are building a second. We have 10,000 people in our town, maybe 12,000 max.
I think it's
building
13,000.
They are building a second Starbucks, basically less than a mile from where the current one sits.
Yeah,
now.
I've heard some different stuff on that though. Like, eventually, it's all going to go back to one Starbucks. I've heard eventually they're going to move everything to the new one.
Oh,
It's
really?
only going to be 2
Interesting.
for a short period of time, is what I've heard. Like, there's going to be a
Phil,
transition period where there's 2, and
They're
then
just
they're going to close.
they're basically
the old
making a
one.
big one, is what they're doing.
Yeah.
That is so annoying because I like my Starbucks where it's at currently. That is rather frustrating.
Yeah, sorry,
Um,
you're gonna have to get your oat milk lattes in 2 different spots, and it's gonna take you forever to figure that out.
I would
so.
actually, now that you say that, I would wish they would have just stayed with 2. It would have they made me less mad. I have to drive all the way across town to get to that one. Makes
You
0
said
sense.
across town, like it's so.
Yeah.
It's so
You
far.
live 5 minutes away from either location, so thanks for making this pod less interesting with all of our small town drama. Phil,
People are going to write in. The locals are going to write in.
Yeah, give us a write in. Leave us a comment on YouTube, guys. Really helps us out. Remember, don't be rude. Share the dudes. Really helps you out. And as always, take care.
This has been another episode of the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Remember to rate, review, and follow. For more information, go to www.thefantasyfootballdudes.com. And remember, we are sorry for absolutely nothing.